Okay, so Master Co, I am so excited that we get to have this opportunity. This is going to be so fun because you know how this came about is we were actually just sitting. We happened to have dinner together at the Trident. I'm sitting at the Trident in Mumbai, India, and we were in an event there where you were speaking at, and you happened to walk in and sit down, and we just had dinner together. Happen chance, right?
Yeah.
If you believe in coincidence.
Oh, it was a blessing because I just walked in, looked around. Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
So sat down and had a great conversation.
Yeah, so then I was like, I feel like there's something we should do here to start telling your story a little bit better. So today, I would like to just dive into a little bit of your story and help understand some of your past and then some of the principles that you've learned throughout your life and just be able to document that because I think I've learned so much from you and I'm so blessed by the work that you have carried on and by the principles you've taught me. It has revolutionized my life through all my life events. So thank you for that. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. It's
And also in that moment of change, I noticed that you've had many, many moments of change in your life. So could you walk us back to the very beginning? I know it's been a long time now.
yeah, a long, long time ago. Yes.
But, go back to and just let people know, like, so where were you born? How did you grow up? Give us a little bit of that history.
Well, I was born in the Philippines to Chinese parents. My grandparents came from China. So I'm basically, second generation. And growing up in a Chinese family, we have our Chinese rituals like feng shui and like every kid follows what their parents tell them to do. Basically enrolled us in a Catholic school. So it was Catholic. Went through all the sacraments. I was even an altar boy once. Just once. I don't know why they didn't want me again, but just once. And the funny part is our Sunday rituals. That's the one I always tell people. So you're supposed to go to Mass every Sunday. Otherwise, it's a sin. So we go to Mass on Sunday. And then after that, we have a good lunch. And then we go straight to the Buddhist temple.
Oh, really? Fascinating.
That was our Sunday ritual.
Okay, so tell me more about that. So your Sunday ritual, what went through your mind? This was just normal, obviously, for you growing up. What about your friends and like your friends that went to the Catholic school versus the Buddhist temple?
They're the same.
Okay.
Because the school we went to has a lot of Chinese people. So a lot of the parents are Buddhists, but they send them to a Catholic school because in the Philippines it's primarily, at least at that time, a Catholic country. So if you want good education, you have to bring them to a school that is pretty high ranked and they're Catholic schools. So a lot of my friends, they do the same thing. Their parents, they have to go to church and then after they go to a Buddhist temple and there was no demarcation between one religion to the other.
That's fascinating. So did you actually notice principles that were similar between the two?
No, I was just a kid going through the rituals. My mom says, do this, then do that. I remember going to the Buddhist temple. I said, what are you doing here? She goes, you see those people with the incense? I'll go take a few of those, light them up, then go over there. You see that statue? Sit there and ask Buddha for what you want. I go, okay. Any kid would love playing with fire. So I just grab and go over there and go, Mom, what do I do? Just kneel like everybody else, pray. So I go, Buddha, please give me a girlfriend, give me a bicycle. Like, for me, spirituality it wasn't a concept. It was just you follow what your parents told you to do.
Right. Well, that's a very unique upbringing. So when did you, I guess, so as you're going throughout your lifetime, that lasted, I mean, your parents, you were with them until when? When did you move out?
That was, I never moved out.
Oh, okay.
At least not in the traditional sense of moving out. But I just remember a story. I was in school and somehow this is elementary school, third grade, whatever. I would wear a necklace. I just remember this. It has a cross. It has a Hindu symbol, Buddhist. It's like 5, 6 different religions. I wore, the symbols on my necklace. And I remember my friends look at me, they're going to all fight up there because of you. But looking back, it seems like this concept of oneness was already there. But just as a kid, I go, well, yeah, I think it'd be good. I wore them all. It's perfect. Now I got all of them on my side.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I really remember growing up. But as far as so-called moving out, I left the Philippines at 15.
Okay.
Came to the United States, went to school here. I was Catholic then, Catholic Buddhist, however you call it. And then came to the United States and converted to a Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah. And
how did that go?
Well, I play table tennis and there's this girl.
Ah,
Her dad says, "You want to date my daughter, you have to come to church." It was the fastest conversion he ever had. I'll be there Sunday. And that was it. And then I went through, being baptized and, as most people call it, being born again. So I read the Bible, at least I tried, cover to cover. I didn't know what the heck I was reading because you're supposed to just do it. And then that faith became deep within me. So I was basically walking around a Christian at the same time, believing that all faiths lead to God. So it's very, very different. I usually don't say that to people because it's always very exclusive, if
Right.
most of you know.
yeah. So going back to when you were living in the Philippines, did you have any major life events or major moments that you can remember that were impactful for you?
Uh, a few. One of them was when my grandfather passed. Uh, it was interesting that happened. What happened was in the Philippines when we have hot water, you have this thermos, but inside is glass. So it's filled with hot water. It was sitting on the table, and as a kid, I wasn't like the most disciplined kid. I would hang on the door, and so I remember hanging on it, kicked it, panicked, it fell, and then when it broke open, all the glass fell on my legs.
Ooh.
So literally, I had shards of glass and hot water. The skin was ballooning,
Oof.
and went to the doctor. They pricked it, removed the liquid, put all this whatever medicine, and at the same time we have to go to the funeral home.
Oh,
So I went in there like this, and it was one of those moments where you think, what's life about? You have somebody who just passed. I'm in pain, and so all these things just made you think a little bit, like,
Yeah.
what's life
and
about?
how old were you then?
6 or 7.
So at 6 or 7, you had one of these major life events, and you start to question maybe life's purpose, but also having a stacking of pain.
Yeah.
And that stacking of pain really awakened all your senses for that side, maybe.
Yeah,
What
it just
questions went through your
triggered
mind?
triggered a little bit. I
Triggered
go,
it.
what is life like?
Mm-hmm.
And these days, when I look back, I was wondering, like, when you hear about the story of the Buddha, when he was still a prince, he would see suffering around. It made him question. Now, I'm not comparing myself to him, not even close. But it just made me, for me, a little bit of realization that at some point, people who go through pain makes them question. Otherwise, they're just like robots, puppets just moving around through life. But when
Yeah.
pain happens, it actually kind of, yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
for me, that was one of the instances.
One of the triggers. Yeah. And so moving on from then, did you have any other triggering life events? Like explain a little bit about, because I think people may want to understand like your background, because I mean, I know just being around, like maybe some people may put you on a pedestal or something, but I mean, you just grew up as a normal kid. Like what was life like socioeconomically? What about like, where were your parents at? What did they do? What were their career paths?
Well, my parents worked for my grandfather. Financially, they're just so-so. What hit me a lot was a few times when you go to school, the teacher would come in and say, "By the way, you need to go to the principal's office or something like that." I go, "What for?" And they would say, "Oh, your dad's check bounced."
Oh,
Okay, and that's because the school we went to shares a wall with a presidential palace, so only rich people went there. My parents weren't rich, but they want to make sure we go to the best possible school available. So he would borrow money. And as a kid, you didn't know about these things. They just check bounce. I went home, gave it to my dad. That was it. And of course, they have a lot of donation drives. Okay, give money to this because they know most of the people going to the school are rich. So I went home. Hey, mom, dad, they want to donate. If our class donates the most amount of money, we get a day off to go to a field trip. And I remember my mom and dad go, "We could barely pay for your education." Of course, as a kid, you don't understand that. So at some point, I started associating charity with just a fake way to make money.
ah,
Okay? So many years later, when I attended a class with my teacher, Grandmaster Co Su Vida, when he's saying, in order to be prosperous, you have to give to create space to receive. For me, I just shut down. I go, oh, it's one of those using spiritual teachings just to kind of con me out of money. So that's why looking back, I go, that negative experience actually prevented me many years later from being more open to prosperity because it just shut me down. For me, anytime it says charity, it's a scam.
Hmm.
So that was one of the blocks I had. And
Well, thankfully, I believe you've recovered from that now.
yeah, thank God. Yeah. So those are a few things I remember. And another thing I remember is even though I'm not supposed to, because if you're a Catholic, you're not supposed to. Every time I go to the bookstore, I get drawn to the esoteric occult books, which you're not supposed to read.
Right?
So I go, but they're just books.
Right.
So I go through them and go, interesting, energy. But nobody's looking at me. So I'll just keep that in my data banks. I go, interesting. So you can use this for energy, and then I'll put it away. So for many years, I didn't do anything, but I remember some of the things I learned.
Yeah.
Then after
But
coming
did
to,
you ever try to like experiment or did you ever play with any of that? Like, it's a little bit taboo, obviously.
yeah, on my own, I go visualize this to happen, like getting a parking space.
Right?
Before you get there, you imagine that space is empty. Put your name on the on the floor. This mine, and sure enough, you get there, there's a space.
So when you start seeing results, you're like, there is some truth. Maybe it's not whole truth, but you started to recognize there were some principles that even though that was frowned upon, maybe you were like, oh, there's something to this.
Yeah, something. I go,
Okay.
there must be something. I'll explore it
Yeah.
later because I'm not supposed to.
Right. So it primed the pump for your mind to be open, but yet at the same time, it was not prominent,
The curiosity was there.
but the curiosity was there. Interesting. Okay. So now fast forward back then to your moving. What prompted you to come to the U.S. to come to school?
My parents, my mom's side, they were able to petition me to come over to have an education. So I came to the United States.
Looks like they really valued education. That was very important for
Yeah,
them.
Asian families, that's what it is. In fact, I don't know if you heard the joke. They say that if you have Asian family, A, B, C, D, if you get an A, not an A plus, that's average.
Okay.
If it's B, no breakfast. C, maybe you should have a time, don't bother coming to dinner, something like that. D, you'll be deported, or something like that. It was just some F, find another family.
Oh man.
So the
Yeah.
standard was pretty high.
Pretty high.
But that's how it was. Education is very, very important because I remember my mom told me, she goes, you're not going to get any inheritance. Your education is your inheritance. So that's the discipline we're brought up with. So came here and studied engineering, electrical engineering, which I never used. Like a lot of us go to school. Afterwards, you come out, you go, well, how the heck do I use this?
Right.
Yeah. So came to the United States. My first job, believe it or not, was paper route.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hit a lot of cars because you're going like this with your bike with newspapers and you're reading the ad. Yeah. And then anyway, make a long story short, then I met this guy. He said, "Oh, engineering, huh? You're gonna be stuck in a job behind a desk. You're gonna only make this much money." You go, "Really?" And you go, "But if you're in sales, if you can sell, you can be in any industry. It's basically economically safe." I go, "Okay." So he got me into insurance,
Oh, okay.
medical insurance.
Really?
And I had no clue what the heck I was doing. In fact, my first week, I made over $1,000 selling a policy to someone who just had a heart attack.
Okay.
I had no clue. I go, "Yeah, sure, give me a check." And
Uh-huh.
yeah. So I had that going for a while, medical insurance.
Mhm.
And then that's when I met my wife. So at some point I was teaching. This was our first income, the insurance, and I had some other sales job. And I remember at that time, my teacher told me, says, "You have to keep both." He says, "Until you build up this one, this gives you certainty for your family."
Ah.
And that's where we built our savings and everything. And at some point, this got so busy, and this happened. The company happened to go bankrupt.
Hmm.
So I was panicking. I go, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" My wife looks at me like, "You do realize you barely make anything here. Here is what's supporting us now." I go, "Oh,
Ah.
yeah." So I was not one of those just jump. Certainty was important for me at that time.
Yeah.
Not realizing that they had other plans.
Right.
Yeah. So that's good.
So what age did you meet your wife then?
24.
Okay. So did you stay in the United States the whole time?
No, I was going back and forth.
You're going back
I
and
met
forth.
her in the Philippines. and
Okay.
Came over.
Okay. So then you were going back and forth like during summers or?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
to see my parents and see friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it started.
So then as you started selling, did you learn principles in sales and working for that company that helped you later on in life?
Yeah, there was this guy, was it John Hopkins? No,
Oh, yeah.
Hopkins, was it? Whatever his first name is. Tony's talked about him before.
Uh-huh.
And I went to his sales course. I attended this How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Dale Carnegie?
Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And I remember reading the book by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
Which
never
book
went
did
to
you-
his
you
Awaken the
read a
Giant
book?
Within.
Awaken the Giant Within. That's
Yeah.
a fantastic
That
book.
was, yeah. I didn't do anything much with it because for me, good book.
Mm-hmm.
So I pull a few things here and there, but I was basically, the way I work through life is like, wherever the door's open, I go.
Mm-hmm.
If that close, I wait for the next door. I go to that door. I don't overthink it.
Right. So when you started, I guess your wife broke her hip, and that is how you got introduced to pranic healing.
Yes.
So go through that story just a little bit and help us understand maybe some of the details. And really, I guess what I'm curious about is like, you hear about this. How did you get the news and what went through your mind?
Oh, I was at home at my mom's place. I got this phone call. It says, oh, my sister-in-law says my wife Daphne's in the hospital. I go, for what? So I go, she broke her hip. Anyway, I met her at the hospital. I found out she fell from 14 feet. And the doctor said it'll take 3.5 months for it to heal. And being in the Philippines, I panicked because how am I going to bring her to the United States with a broken hip? So anyway, finally she stayed with me. I attended this course called Silva Method. And if you heard of it, Silva Mind Control is what it's called before.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to make you calmer, visualize. So I took the class. So I went home. Okay, I'm going to make you heal faster. Let me visualize. How are you feeling? Same. I did like 4 or 5 times several days ago. It's not working.
Yeah.
And then somebody from that class I took said, give me a call. And he said, hey, there's not a seminar happening. It's by a Chinese teacher named Master Co Su Vida about pranic healing. I go, what is that? And he just come over. So at that time, I go, it couldn't hurt.
Right.
So I said, out of desperation, I went, took it. And I remember taking the class, I was questioning everything because I couldn't feel anything. But I said, if this could even help her walk even a little better, I'll be a happy guy.
Yeah.
So I took the class, went home, worked on her, and day by day, she was having more mobility, less pain. What's supposed to take 3.5 months, in 2 weeks, she was walking.
Wow.
And the entire time I was doubting it. I go, are you serious? Is this all in your head?
Yeah.
And we have it looked at by x-ray. They said, oh, it's fusing faster. In 5 weeks, she was running.
Wow.
So,
So that made you a believer in some of it. I mean, maybe not everything, but you started to see results.
exactly.
And those results, I mean, you seem like a very logical person, right? So you started seeing like input, result. And that allowed you to start making advancements, I guess, and for that application. But what led you to go further, I guess, in pranic healing? What made you decide to say, like, I'm going to study this a little bit more?
Well, at that time when I took class, it was level 1. And then level 2, 3 were never taught. And a few months later, he decided, okay, I'll teach level 2 and 3. So I said, hey, I already took this one and I got this invitation. I took it to go, this is good. And I started working on people, working on my mom. I go, I'm seeing results, even though I don't feel a darn thing. In fact, the entire time I go, I'm not sure this is going to work, but the book says it will. I followed like a recipe. And as people keep getting better, I go, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And then I was in the car with him. I said, Master, in the United States, there's no pranic healing right now. And he goes, go teach. That's all he said. I said, okay. I didn't think about, do I know what the heck I'm teaching? Do I have a lesson plan? Nothing. I just said, okay. He said, go. So,
Okay.
I know I'm fast forwarding. When he came here, I didn't know anything about marketing, of course. So I remember opening up these magazines, these New Age magazines, wherever I can find an address. I copy, paste it, put it in a database, and I realized I don't know how to mail merge. So it took me like 4 days to write a letter of invitation. And after we printed it, I kid you not, we cut and paste physically on the envelope. We sent out 300 of them. Out of 300, 2 responded. One, nothing happened. The second one was a church. And we talked to the minister. He goes, sure, come in. So my first class was in a church with 27 people.
Wow.
Yeah. And then what interesting that happened was the night before, oh, great, we're going to teach this class. I look at my wife and go, what the heck am I going to tell him? I don't have a lesson plan, no syntax, no anything. So we sat down, looked at her notes, which she took the class too afterwards, and we came at about 3:30 in the morning. We came up with a lesson plan.
Okay.
8:30 showed up in class, taught it. People are blown away, and we're going, there's something here.
Yeah.
Then, as I say, the rest is history. That was 1990.
Okay. And how old were you when you came? Like when he said go teach, how old were you? And how many? What
That was
level?
24.
Oh, you were 24 at that time.
Yeah.
And so then you had only taken level 2, or had you taken more than that?
Level, because at that time we were the guinea pigs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I taught level 1, then level 2 and 3, and afterwards he taught our Hatha Yoga and the other classes.
Okay.
So I took it
You got
all,
them all.
in 6 months and then flew over here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you were really like learning more through teaching.
Yes.
And so once you learned to teach it, then you had to actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're probably practicing more and more just through all that.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah. Anybody I could find, okay, do you have a problem? No. Oh, too bad. You have a problem? Yes. Okay, come over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just because I knew you cannot be credible teaching something if you've never done it.
Right.
So,
So it sounds like you were just really good at taking massive action for sure.
yeah, as an engineer, if you want the result, you have to make sure all the conditions are present to make it happen. So
Yeah.
for me, that's a logical part.
Sure.
Yeah. I wish it was because of compassion and love and care. Nope. For me, it's a process.
Right.
For me, it's a process. I want this result. This is how you get there. It's not because I love you to death, whatever. I just want to make you feel better to prove this works.
Was that true also when your wife broke her hip?
Yeah, it was kind of selfish because I'm going, man, if she can't walk, this is going to cramp my style.
Right.
I mean, how am I going to go on with my life if she can't walk? I got to make her better.
Well, I'm glad you
Of course, I
advanced
love her.
beyond
I mean,
that.
that goes without saying. But for me, it's like, I
Yeah.
have to find a way to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you're going through your teaching and you start finding other people that want to learn and grow and take more classes. Were you still teaching everything kind of in one fell swoop, or was there more of a, we're going to do level 1, then we're going to do level 2, and like you had a little more of a timeline, or how did that go?
No, there was level 1, and afterwards level 2. We started teaching before the licensing came
Yeah, right.
from the institute, before Master Co actually formally licensed it,
Sure.
because he just said go teach.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I started noticing, hey, this is working.
Yeah.
And on one trip, he said, okay, let's make it official. So then he licensed me to teach the different classes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. So then interacting with him, when you first met Master Choa, tell me a little bit about that interaction. What was he like, and what was your first thoughts?
I was probably so disrespectful. I want to kick myself. For the first time I go, okay, there's this Chinese guy who's teaching an energy class.
Yeah.
And all I'm interested in is learning from him so I can fix my wife's hip.
Mhm.
That's all I was interested in. And it was difficult for me to call him Master Choa at that time.
Mm.
As you know, being Baptist, you only have one master, the Lord Jesus.
Mhm.
So to call master is like, for me, it's a big conflict, right?
Mm.
Interesting enough, so I got away with it because when we got married, Master Choa and his wife were our godparents.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a Chinese thing in the Philippines. You know, you need to have how many sets of godparents, big old
Mhm.
party. So the way I got away with it is every time I see him, I'll call him Godfather,
ah,
just to kind of not say the word master, right? But the interesting part is maybe 5-6 years later, when I start seeing my life transformed, the lives of people transformed. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just repeating what he taught me, and then they're like, "Wow, you changed my life." I go, I think there's something to this.
Mhm.
And at that point, I said, yeah, this is an advanced teacher. So at that time, I said with full sincerity, Master Choa. Then I realized in the Chinese tradition, master simply means teacher.
Hmm.
But I was giving it a story,
Right. You were
Right?
making up a meaning. Yeah. Mhm.
a meaning, and then which led to a story that prevented me from being more receptive.
Right.
Yeah. So when
So-
I met him, yeah, he was very strict. In the early years, he was very, very strict, very direct. So for me, it was fine because growing up, that's what my life was about. I remember one time he said, okay, this woman has back pain. I need a volunteer to scan to see if the energy is depleted or congested.
Mhm.
Well, I want to learn because I want to know how to fix it. Well, I couldn't feel anything, remember? So I got up. The woman standing here, I went like 4 feet away. It's going, yeah. He looked at me, goes, hey, it's depleted. You sit down. Okay. Now, most people would be insulted. I go, okay, I sat down like nothing because I was wrong. That was that. People said, aren't you insulted? Or, no, what's there to be insulted? I was wrong. It's something else. Done, finish. But he was like that. And then over the years, I noticed he became more heart oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and he would smile. So when I was teaching, I would smile too. Before that, I literally tried to copy him.
Ah.
I never smiled. I was called General Co at that time when I was teaching.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You had a few nicknames over the years, huh?
yeah. So at that time, I was very, very strict because I was copying him. And then as he, I won't say evolved, but he awakened other aspects of himself. Then I also grew because the teacher kind of pulled me up.
Right.
Yeah. But before that, it's like this. In fact, I remember my wife said every time she's with Master Cho, she would tremble.
Oh.
And I heard that from other people too, that when they're with him, he comes in the room, they would tremble. I wouldn't tremble. For me, it's like, okay, this is normal, you know? Like a strict Asian father.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, as he traveled the world, I noticed that he was adapting to different cultures. So he would make sure to learn every country's language, at least to say hello, how are you, you know, things like that to kind of open the heart more.
Right.
So in the early years, that's what I remember.
So then you said about 5 or 6 years later, you know, you started to notice things changing in your life, and you started to notice that there were new things happening. Like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what did you notice when you started seeing these results, not only for yourself, but maybe in other people in your life?
Well, one of the things I did notice that for me, at first, it was a process. I just want to do this. I want to teach a class. Then at some point, I start caring about people. Believe it or not.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's like, I'm going to teach this class, get this out there so it can help feed my family.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is something that help people. That was it. Then at some point, I go, actually, I care about people. I didn't know that. So
do you think that was an awakening of your, like, you didn't care before, but now you do? All of a sudden, you're noticing this is just like a side benefit of, wow, this is actually something that can maybe open my heart and maybe make me a better human? Or would you say it was more along the lines of, you know, I didn't recognize that myself before?
it just happened.
It just happened.
It just happened. It's not one of those, oh, I'm a better human. None of that process happened. It just go, oh, okay, I think I really care about that person. I want to help them. That was it. I didn't put any more to it. I just went through the process. And until, here's the interesting part, until at some point, I hit the wall.
Okay.
When I say hit a wall, I mean I could fill up a room for level 1 class, but they don't advance to the higher classes. So I went to my teacher and said, Master, what happened? I can get into a class, put butts in the chair, but they don't move on. He goes like this, hey, your heart is too small. So you know what I said? What's I got to do with it? He says, I remember here the words that stuck in my head. He said, love attracts, the will divides. In other words, you had the will to push them into the class, but you did not have the love to retain them. So he put me on the diet. Guess what that diet was? Meditation to the hearts, activate the heart.
Yeah.
And at that point, I started noticing that I started caring more about people. And that's when people start to stay.
From the time of you doing that to the time of you starting to notice those results, what do you think that time frame was?
Easy, 5, 6, 7 years.
Okay. And how often were you doing that meditation? Daily or?
And before that, no, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, if that.
Okay.
Because for me, it's like, what? Sit there and do nothing? What is that?
Right. Well, and then I remember you telling a story from stage one time where you're like, when you would do it, there was no recording of Master Cho or anything. So you would read the book and you would just like kind of fast forward through part of it.
Oh yeah, it was a quick meditation.
Yeah.
And when the recording came out, I was even fast forwarding the silent part. That's probably one of his worst students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's amazing that we can all be used, right? So the beauty in that is that I think that shows everybody how real it is, right? And so persistence and that will to win. I mean, obviously you have a high will aspect.